everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So it's that time of the week. It's time for us to go over all of the books we read this past week. This is our 1-minute book recs. This is where we give you a 1-minute synopsis of each book that we read this week. So let's do that.
Yes, but first, hit the subscribe button because we love to give away free books on our channel. So make sure that you are subscribed so you're entered to win. You can also follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
How was your reading week?
It was pretty good. I read some really big books, but I had 4 and 5 stars this week.
Okay, so how many books do you have to talk about?
7.
Okay, so I read 7 books, but I only have 5 to talk about because 2 were rereads for specific reasons, and we're just not going to talk about those.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you get to start us off. Are you ready for that?
Okay.
I know it doesn't happen all the time, but it throws you off, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, you got your timer?
I got the timer.
Okay.
I'm ready to push start.
Okay.
So Pam's the 3rd book came out, and so I said back in April when I first started this one that when the 3rd book came out, I would read the trilogy. So here I am. I just want to point out, this is a book.
Yeah, and the 3rd book
Or
is just
3.
as long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm
all right.
currently in that. Okay.
Okay, tell us.
So I read The Hill of Shivers and Shadows by Pam Godwin. I just love this cover. It's so gorgeous. So we have Frankie. Frankie is married to the wealthiest man in Alaska named Monty. And her and Monty have this argument, and she ends up leaving him. That's what Monty thinks. But really, she was kidnapped and taken to a remote place in Alaska, which we're kind of led to believe maybe is like the Arctic Circle. We don't really know. And here there are 3 more semi-feral men, plus the person that kidnapped her. And this is that story. So we have captor captive. We have, there's just so much going on that I really don't want to give too much away. So this is a dark romance. If you like dark romance, you definitely want to pick this series up. But be warned to please check those triggers. Can you hear that? Okay, good. Yeah, check your triggers before you... I told you to stop. Okay. It's really, really hard to talk about this series without giving anything away. So, yeah.
And did you
so good?
Did you finish all 3 books this week?
No. 5 stars.
5 stars. Awesome. Okay. So the first book that I'm going to talk about today is actually a part of a trilogy as well, but I've been waiting for the audios to come out. So last month I read the first book in C.M. Stunich, in her alien romance, and this week the audio for the second book, which is Seminole, came out, and I listened to this. So let's talk about the second. We're just going to talk about the situation, the book situation. Okay. So this is the story of Eve. Eve is abducted with her best friend and a very crazy, like pop star, I think is what she is, or actress or something. One night that her best friend works for the actress. She's very self-absorbed. Nobody likes her. Anyhow, and a possum, her pet possum as well. They're all kidnapped by aliens one night, and she wakes up and she's on this alien planet. Her best friend is missing, and there's like a sign above her head that says, humans meet, mate, or slave meet, mate, something like that. It's in a particular order. She freaks out. She ends up going off with this big giant dragon dude. Okay. And in the meantime, at the beginning of the book, she meets this moth dude. The moth dude drinks her blood. He's hot. He thinks she's his fated mate. And he's like the imperial prince of the galaxy kind of situation. So here's what we have, the continuation of that story. We see a lot more of the moth dude. We see the king and queen. We see a lot of stuff happening here. But this is a Why Choose, and it is Fated Mates. And I gave it 5 stars because there's so much to this. Like, I love my blue aliens. We all know I love my blue aliens, but these have plot and a lot of plot. So I gave it 5 stars. The 3rd book will be out next month on audio. They're out now, but if you want to read them, but the audio is really good. So
Okay. My next one, I'm being sneaky. And I just really wanted to show this book. And I really want some recognition for how much I've been reading this week. So my next book is Cage of Ice and Echoes, which is the second book in the Frozen Fate series. So you don't have to switch me over, but I just want people to see how pretty these
They're
covers
gorgeous.
are.
And Pam herself designed them.
Not only are they beautiful, they have there's significance to the covers, to the story. They're not just pretty covers.
Yeah.
So basically, in book 2, the survival continues for everyone. And I feel like I probably am liking the wrong people because that always happens to me. But yeah.
Yeah.
Some people have become unredeemable. That's all I'm going to say.
There's also beautiful art on the inside of the books,
Yes.
every chapter header and stuff. That was actually done by Pam as well. So she is the artist when it comes to the chapter headers and the art and stuff inside. They're gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
If you haven't read the series, don't zoom in too close in case I don't know. Like sometimes, yeah.
It's a little spoilery sometimes.
Yeah, so be careful there. But
okay.
They are very pretty. Worth the purchase.
All right. So the next book that we're going to talk about that I read this week, it started a thing, and we'll talk about that. But let me tell you guys about Cedarwood Cabin. I've seen this all over on Instagram and TikTok, and everybody's talking about it, or Facebook and our Facebook groups that we're in, our reading groups. Everybody's talking about it. I'm gonna start by saying I did enjoy this book. I did enjoy it. I think you should all try it out. But let's talk about it. So this is about Flora, who has moved to Washington State from the UK. She's 20. She lost her mom when she was 16, and her dad have moved to Washington. At this point in time, it's very lush and it's green, and they're going hiking, which sounds a lot like Western Washington. So we're never told exactly where they are in Washington. They're just in Washington. Something happens. Flora comes, like, you definitely check triggers if you're going to read this, because there is some big triggers in here. But she becomes very depressed. She becomes very upset. When she first moves to the town, she meets these two guys at a bar one night, and this is billed as a biker romance, but it's not like MC, which I thought they just ride bikes. They ride crotch rockets, and one of them does motocross. So she meets these guys. They're hot. They're mysterious. Yeah, the whole thing. She gets into a situation. She's out in the woods. She passes out. They find her. And then it becomes a thing where they take her back to her cabin and trick her into thinking she has to stay when she finds out it's a captor-captive situation. It's an MFM. I did enjoy it. I felt like it was rushed in a lot of places. I felt like it really needed to be flushed out, because I still don't know why they wanted her. Why do these two hot dudes want this girl? Because she has an accent? I don't get it. But it became a thing because they talk about moose in here. And I'm like, there's no moose in Washington. And so I was like, I messaged the author. I was like, just to let you know, like, people are horrible with the reviews. And I just need you to know there's no moose in Washington. And she's like, well, according to Google, there is. And I was like, what? So we pulled up, apparently in the northeast corner of Washington, there's 5,000 moose up there. And I was like, I've lived here, other than Alaska, the majority of my life. I've never known that. There's a difference, though, between Western Washington and the green and the lush and whatever, and Eastern Washington. It doesn't necessarily have that. So, but people who have visited here wouldn't know. So I was just assuming it was Western Washington. No. Anyhow, gave the book 3 stars. There's just a lot to be desired. Like, I think it could have been a 5-star book. Had she had a few beta readers that sat down and went through it with her and be like, no, you need to explain this more. You need to, why is this happening? What, like that is what she needed in this book. So still go read it if this is your thing. It just, yeah. Next. Well, laugh at me. There isn't. I mean, there is, but
it was just so funny. Because
well, I mean, I'm talking to you about it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I was like, there's no moose in Washington, and you didn't think there was moose in Washington. There's definitely not moose in Puyallup, but there's no moose in Washington. And then I was messaging my other friend, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just came across this in a book, and she's like, there are no moose here. And it was Nobody thought they were moose here.
I did message a friend of mine though that lives in Eastern Washington, up in that area. Yeah, and she like is like yes, and she'd been chased by one and she hates them.
Yes, yeah, they're worse than the bear.
So,
and then I asked my husband.
we have confirmation it's really true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something like where we live in Western Washington. You're not going to find them.
No.
So it's more specific to a particular location where it's not lush and green where you're going to be hiking.
Right.
The terrain from Eastern to Western Washington is vastly different.
It is. It's very flat. Like when you're over here, it's green and lush and gorgeous. And then as you go over the mountains heading towards Eastern, you're like, okay, the trees are thinning out. Oh, we're just in the mountains and that's why. Then you get to the other side and you're like, oh, there's some trees. And all of a sudden you're like, where'd the trees go? Why is it so yellow?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What's your book?
Just so funny that you did that. Sorry.
I was doing it just because, I mean, seriously. Did not think we had moose.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
what you got?
My next book was an ALC that I received, and it's The One I Didn't See Coming by Piper Rain, which I actually learned that Piper Rain there's two of them.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is the third book in the Plain Daisy Ranch series, and this is about Briar and Emmett. And Jason Clark and Ava Erickson are the narrators for this, and it's just fantastic. I love both of them. So Briar moves back home. She has an older sister that kind of helped raise her, so the older sister is very protective of her, and she does not want her sister to like be around Emmett. Emmett's like this playboy type person. And so she's like, you need to stay away from him, and like tells Emmett, well, basically she tells Emmett, leave my sister alone, like stay away. Kind of reminds me of like on Friends when they're always telling Joey to like stay away from their different friends. It kind of reminded me of that. And so Briar ends up, she's supposed to be staying in her sister's house, but her sister's house sells like basically the moment she gets there. So she doesn't have anywhere to go. And so Emmett says, I have extra room. You can live with me. So she goes kind of reluctantly to stay with Emmett. And Emmett and her, there's a lot of stuff going on in Briar's life that people don't know. And Emmett just ends up being this like cinnamon roll hero in hiding. Like, I was like, I don't understand why everybody keeps saying, like, stay away, like, leave her alone, don't go near her, because he was so sweet. I loved him. So this was a 5-star listen for me. I really loved this story a lot.
Okay.
Totally recommend.
All right. So the next story I jumped into, I was really hot because apparently we're getting summer now instead of a few weeks ago. And I was like, I want fall. Like I want to put on my sweaters and I want Halloween to get here so that I can wear my sweaters and not be dying of a heat stroke. So I picked up a book. It's Reimagining of Sleepy Hollow. This is called Hallowed or Hollowed. And this is, it's Hollowed, not Hallowed. This is by Jessica S. Taylor. So again, Reimagining of Sleepy Hollow. So this is about Katrina Van Tassel, who, you know, all the Sleepy Hollow stories are about. And so Sleepy Hollow is like protected by the horsemen. There's a lot of people that have magic that live here. There are all different kinds of magic going on. And every year, or not necessarily her family, the village will sacrifice a village person to the headless horseman so that their village can stay protected and the outside world doesn't find out about them. And this year, Katrina is chosen as the sacrifice, whether she likes it or not, by her horrible, horrible parents. And she is given to the headless horseman. But here's the deal. The headless horseman isn't headless, and he's kind of hot. So, you know, there's that. There's a whole bunch of other things that are going on too. There is an actual story here. There's a lot of magical fantasy type elements, paranormal, I guess I should say, type elements. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I was all about that headless horseman. So, just in time for the fall. Of course I was. For the fall, there's kissing in this book, and that is it. There's no spice. So, but it didn't bother me. I was into it. So,
Of course you were.
of course I was.
No one is shocked to hear this information.
No, they shouldn't be, huh? Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Well, my next book, there was really no particular reason I picked it up. I just wanted to sound good, so I decided to read it. It's called
Okay.
In the Game by Sloane St. James, and it's the third book in the Lakes hockey series. So we have Rally. She's a puck bunny. She does not like that term, but she's lacking love in her life. She grew up in a home without love, and so she's just kind of looking for love the wrong way, basically. And so she doesn't really want a relationship either. So she's a little complex, confusing character. But so she has kind of made her way through quite a bit of the hockey team. And one night she ends up with Barrett, and and he ends up calling her a bunny during everything. And she doesn't like that. So the next morning she just leaves without a note or anything. And he actually really liked her, and he tries to hunt her down and is not successful. Well, she ends up, let's just say, I mean, the condom broke. So we all know what's going to happen then when the condom breaks in a story, right? So she ends up needing to find him. And when she reaches out to him, he's just kind of an ass about it. And so she's like, okay. And she just goes on and takes care of stuff herself. And then we fast forward like 4 years later, and they end up in a situation together. And a 4-year-old little boy looks like very similar to this hockey player.
Okay.
So, yeah, 4 stars.
Awesome. I love those kinds of books.
Yes, you do.
I do. I don't know what it is. I would never hide a child from anyone, but I don't know.
She was not trying to. She reached out to him, and he was an ass about it. Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
But was he?
Oh.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next book I read is a Irish mafia bodyguard romance, and you know how that goes, right? Like, well, all about them Irish things. The audio for this book is great, but this is Ruthless Savage by Lillian Harris. I've seen this around quite a bit, so I picked it up. This is about Arrow and Devlin. So Arrow is 18, and she has had this bodyguard, Devlin, for many, many years. When the book starts out, he's actually in jail for something that he took the fall for, he got in trouble for. And she is the only one to write him letters, and she tries to come visit him, and he won't see her because she's just been in love with him forever. She just really has. And so, but he's in his 30s. And so he's like, no, even though he does have a thing for her, and now she's, of age, he can like feel the feelings that he has for her. Especially after she writes him in prison and the whole night. So then we get into a situation where her dad, she's in the mafia, and her dad's in the mafia, her dad's in charge, and she knows that he's about to marry her off. So she gets engaged to some guy who is a dick. And that really does push Devlin to kind of, feel his feelings a little bit more, but he just doesn't feel like he's worthy. He's got some stuff in his past and whatever. Then there's the sex club that comes in, and it's a whole thing. So anyhow, that's their thing. There's been a lot of TikToks about it. It was a 4-star book. I'm curious to read the next book. I did listen to this one. Like I said, the audio was great because the male actor does have the accent down pretty good. So maybe he is. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he is Irish or if he just has the accent down, but he did a good job. So yeah. So again, 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a good listen.
Okay. So my next read is called Beyond the Bases by Kaylee Ryan. Okay. And this is about, this is number 1 in the Out of Reach series. So Beyond the Bases, I think you probably realize this is a baseball romance. So Eaton plays baseball. He's on like a pro baseball team type situation. And one day he's out with some friends, and they run into some girls, and he meets Larissa, and he just really is like taken by her. And Larissa really doesn't want anything to do with him. And Eaton just becomes extremely persistent. And the reason Larissa doesn't want anything to do with him is because she has a lot on her plate. A lot has happened. So she's very guarded. And she just really feels like she doesn't have time to commit to a relationship. But she also has some other reasons for that as well. But Eaton doesn't give up. He's very persistent. He knows where she works, so he will go and eat dinner there and then wait for her when she gets off work and just really tries hard to pursue her, but yet in a very sweet cinnamon roll hero type way.
Okay.
He's a persistent cinnamon roll. I enjoyed it 4 stars.
Okay. Okay. Just because they're persistent doesn't mean that they can't be a cinnamon roll, right?
I think in real life we would be like, no means no. Like she
yeah,
said,
yeah.
she's not interested. You're crossing
But
a line here.
but this is a book, and
Why does it look like? Oh, I guess it was just a shadow.
oh, okay. Worried about another
Oh,
rash?
no, it just looked like they had like a big bruise here or something.
Oh, the book fall on your face?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So for my last book of the week, I read Insta Family by Linda Cage. I really liked this one. This was cute. So this is emotional, like check your triggers because it does deal with some heavy themes, but this is about Vaughn and Lucy. So Vaughn has a brother that he has been raising and taking care of ever since they lost their parents. So he's, he's older. The brother he was like 23 or something. He's pretty young, 21, so late or early 20s. And the brother has had cancer for several years. Vaughn has done everything he can to keep his brother alive, as far as testing and drugs and everything else. Lucy works with Vaughn, and when they get told that there's nothing else that can be done for Vaughn, Vaughn talks her into having one last fling. The man just wants one last orgasm. So she has this night with Vaughn, and that is where, and then he passes away not too long after that. Or not with Vaughn, with the brother. She has this one night with the brother. And then he passes away. A few weeks later, she finds out she's pregnant. And she goes to Vaughn and she's like, I'm pregnant. And he's, at first he's a little bit of an ass because he's very much dealing with a lot of, he's lost everyone in his family, like literally everyone. He has nobody left. And then once the baby comes at this point, like he's ready to, like, he just wants to be a part of that baby's life and to be a part of her life. And he's had a thing for her. Like he saw her first. It was a thing. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really, 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 really liked it. So
it was good.
It was really good.
It was very different. I have not read anything quite like that.
Yeah, it really was. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. So yeah.
And he was mean to her.
Like he wasn't nice.
When she's doing her walk of shame,
yes,
they run into each other and he's like really.
But those are like, he doesn't know, like he liked her, his brother knew that he liked her, and then the brother pulled that, and then he sees her the next morning, and the emotions are like, he doesn't know what to think. He's a little butthurt about it. So yeah, and rightfully so. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The brother scenes though, when he was sick, those were hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What's your next book?
Okay, my next book is A Moment for Us by Corinne Michaels. This is the 3rd book in the Willow Creek Valley series. We have Delia and Joshua. So check triggers for this one if you think you might have some. Delia has like had a crush on Josh for a very long time, and they become friends with benefits. And Delia realizes that Josh is never going to love her how she wants him to, and her heart just cannot take this. So she decides to break it off with him, and they end up doing it again. And oh, wow, I have a theme this week, don't I? And the condom breaks. And from the cover, we can tell what happens, right? Yeah. And Josh is very guarded, and there's reasons why, but we don't understand those yet. And he just doesn't want to be in a relationship, and he feels like Delia is better off without him. And this is just crushing Delia. And now she's pregnant with his, and very emotional book, very angsty. Definitely check triggers. It was a very good book, though. 4 stars.
Okay.
Have you read this one?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it rings a bell. It's been several years since I've read it, so yeah.
All right.
Yep. I own it. I know that. So,
do you have the original cover? Because I think I like the original cover with just the guy on it better.
I like those covers. Nope. All right. Do you have any more books?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you?
No, I'm done. This is the Mandy show now.
I just have one left.
Okay. All right.
How to
so what's your last
Mandy
book?
show?
Huh?
That's weird. How to become the Mandy show? That's weird.
Because I read 7, but I only talked about 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
I am.
Okay, so my last book is another ALC. It is the 4th book in the Vegas Aces Playbook series, and this is Forward Progress by Lisa Suzanne. And we're back with Victoria and Travis. This is narrated by Lance Greenfield and Callie Dalton. And Owen set a whole bunch of crap in motion in the last book, and now we're just kind of dealing with the fallout of everything that has happened. And things are falling apart between Victoria and Travis. And honestly, I'm frustrated with both of them because neither one of them are handling this well at all. And they need to get their shit together, which I'm assuming is going to happen in book 5. But both of them are not handling the pressures of things well. I did like, though, in this one, we do see Victoria kind of expressing her frustration that she doesn't know how, like she's never been in the limelight. And so she was not prepared for like reporters to be showing up and to be photographing her and asking her questions. And so there's a lot of fallout from that as well. And they're both just frustrated with the situation and taking it out on each other. 4 stars. I'm interested, like I'm excited for the final book to see how we wrap all this out and hopefully get to our happily ever after. I would assume it's going to.
I mean, it should.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
Lisa Suzanne's very good about wrapping everything up and giving her characters happily ever afters in that 5th book.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that was our reading week.
That was. So how's your guys' reading week going? What are you reading? Anything we read that you want to read or that you've read? Let us know in the comments. We love to chat with you in there. And let's see, what else do we want to say? Hit that notification button so you always know about our videos. We do new videos Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
All right, guys. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.